one thing a lot of people have got upset about it. I wish the state party had had the foresight or really considered folks that were potential presidential candidates not to have them this year. And nothing against Ron DeSantis,
right.
Nothing against any of the great folks that are running on the Republican ticket. It just doesn't look good, and a lot of people are upset about it. And I wish they'd have reached out to a guy over in North Carolina that's lieutenant governor and is going to run for governor in 2024. The great state of North Carolina is Mark Robinson, and I want everybody to be paying attention to this gentleman. He got his start in 2018, and he's nothing but a ball of fire.
Yeah, I like him a lot. I've already heard some of his speeches, and I like him a lot.
One thing I haven't said yet, and I need to say it just so everybody knows, is that this show, even though it's Kip Capley's show and we're standing in for him, what we say is our opinion. I guess Kip's still worried about me and you, what me and you might say.
Yeah.
So, Kip said, just to make sure, you say that it's my opinion. I'm probably going to agree with most of it, but just in case, there's something out there.
Did he not tell you?
What's that?
He gave a 99.5% approval rating last week on what we said.
Well, what was the 0.5?
I don't know. You had to talk to Kip.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to talk to Kip because I don't remember using the word sodomite on there at that time. But, who knows? Who knows when I dropped that word in?
I thought, the way I understood with Kip, it was a no holds bar. So
now, when we're talking about our political things, I want to put a shout out to Dave Vance out of Stewart County. He is the GOP chairman of Stewart County.
Correct.
And this man is a warrior. He is retired military. He retired as an E8. And you retire as an E8, you're something. I'm just going to tell you something. Just the times I've been around Dave, if I had to be in a foxhole with somebody with my dad now buried and underneath the ground, I would always choose my dad. But if I had to choose somebody, I'd want Dave Vance in that foxhole with me. And I'm going to tell you something. He's going to be there August 21st. He's already told me he's ready to camp out even.
That is correct. He is going to be there. And
he has a show, and it starts at 7 o'clock, and he's going to have Clay Doggett on his show tonight. It starts at 7 o'clock, and it's the TennesseeInformer.com.
It's a podcast.
It's a podcast, yes. But it's www.TennesseeInformer.com. And Charlotte, if you could put that on the website, for everybody if they need it. You know Dave. Brandon hadn't got to know Dave well, but I'm going to tell you something. That man is he is a blessing coming into my life.
The simple thing I'll say, if you guys like me, you like Clay Doggett, you like Kip Capley, you're going to like Dave Vance.
That's right.
So that's one thing about it. Dave is a very constitutionalist as well. And, I wanted to mention just on the heels of our party meeting on Thursday evening, come about 5 and you get to meet a lot of great people. We have camaraderie and fellowship and a lot of discussion. And, you may have a question you want to ask Richard Archie before he starts or after he gets through with his speech. But I encourage everybody to come out at 5 for fellowship with everybody, and we'll see y'all Thursday evening, hopefully at 6 o'clock.
I think that's going to be a good event. I'm excited I'm intending to be there as well, so I'm excited to get to see Richard Archie again. And you surprised me when you said that you had never met him. I'm surprised over that you hadn't met him until we introduced you to him, because he's such an active guy in the state. But one of the things that Lawrence and I have been talking about a lot, behind the scenes, is making these connections. There's a lot of awesome people in the state of Tennessee.
There is.
You don't have to look very far. You turn over a rock, you're going to find a conservative. Thank God. And the fact that we're being able to connect with some of these, there's a lot of great people out there, such as Dave Vance you're just talking about. We've got a lot of great county chairmen that are out there. They want to get together, and we're starting to meet with them. And even in our Senate district, I've been contacted by some of our county party chairmen saying, hey, when are we going to have another meeting? They're wanting to get together again and have more meetings in our Senate districts. And I would like to see that be something that becomes more prevalent as we move forward. That's one of our goals that we want in Lawrence County.
Man, I love that. And, of course, a lot of these very conservative senators that we have, and I mentioned in Joy Hensley and Janice Bowling last week on the show.
Sure.
Some of that needs to bleed over into this senatorial district.
Amen.
I will tell you, this senatorial district, Joy Hensley, like I said last week, it made him sick during redistricting to lose Lawrence County. He had that much love for the people of Lawrence County and for Lawrence County itself. He was totally upset. It was out of his control.
Right.
And it's due to population, and we all know that, and we understand that. But y'all, Senator, could learn a lot from Senator Bowling and also Senator Hensley and another good friend of mine, Mark Pody. He needs to take some lessons, and if he don't like what I got to say, just give me a call and we'll discuss it.
Fair enough. Well, what we hope to be able to do is get our voice heard by all the state senators, all the state reps. We want to be out there and be vocal. Even the letter that we mailed out to every elected official, we didn't just mail that out to the conservative or the Republicans. We mailed that out to every Republican, every Democrat got that letter. So what we want to do is push our voice forward. Even if they don't agree with us, you're going to have to hear our voice. And so that this radio shows that we've been doing and the meetings that we've been having in a courthouse, it's intentional. We need to be active in our county seat. We need to be active in our courthouses. These buildings belong to us as citizens, and we need to be in there letting our voices be heard. I believe that's, if you go back and look through history, that's why these buildings were built and created, and they've almost eliminated freedom of speech from these buildings in our counties. And a lot of counties, not Lawrence County. I mean, we're great, and I'm thankful for that. But getting together, having these types of meetings, having people out, just like Tennessee Firearm Association, it's important. And getting together with our other county party chairman, bringing this state together is the direction forward. We went to that meeting in Murfreesboro, one of our first Republican Party meetings of the year. I went there and I came back and I told Lawrence, I told several others, I think I mentioned it to Jared Menz, the puzzle piece that was missing for me was getting all these folks connected. They just weren't connected. They seemed kind of isolated by the county line. And I think we're going to be changing that really.
Are you talking about our meeting in April that we had as an SEC?
I am, yes.
All right, we got another one coming up August the 5th, and it's going to be held in Mount Juliet.
Yeah, we need to be there.
I will share that information with y'all and anybody who needs to know. And I have the information, but I do not have it in front of me. It just came to me Friday.
Well, we need to get that out to our county party chairman. And I know a lot of county party chairmen actually watch this show. They may watch it on podcast or watch it later on YouTube, which reminds me, if you watch this on YouTube, click the subscribe button because we're going to be producing a lot more content as we go forward. We're going to be working on playlists and getting some things together. So we're just trying to build content as we go. But these county party chairmen are actually seeing this show. They're seeing Kip Capley. They're seeing the one that we do on Wednesdays with the Republican Party. And we need to get these folks together, and that'd be a great opportunity to do that.
It is. Hey, I want you to talk about the movie that's been released July the 4th.
You talking about The Sound of Freedom?
That's correct.
Well, I tell you, we actually went and saw that movie this weekend. And I went for two reasons. The first reason, I wanted to go and support a Christian movie. The second thing is, it is a very hard material to deal with when you're talking about the trafficking of children. But I wanted my girls to see it. I have twin girls that are 12 years old, and it was very important for my girls to see it because even though it takes place in South America, don't think it's not happening here with children here in the United States.
That's correct.
And one of the statistics that the movie talked about is that no other time in history has human slavery been the highest than right now.
Wow.
So
Scary.
you even take, say what you want about slavery in America in the 1850s and 60s. Slavery today is at its highest in the world right now. The other thing is, behind drugs, the next thing that is the most populated and the most money-making is the trafficking of human children.
I think I watched a clip with the lead character, which is a great Christian,
Yes.
great conservative.
Yeah, Jim Cazile.
And he has took a lot of flack from his fellow Hollywood actors and people who really just despise conservatives.
Right.
But he stood up, and he was the lead actor, and he was Christ.
He was Christ in Mel Gibson's film too. Yes,
And-
he's done a lot of good films. You know, he did Facing the Giants.
And a lot of people that don't know him may remember the show that came on CBS called Person of Interest. And he was the lead character in that
as
show.
well. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for him. I also have a lot of respect for the character he played because it is based upon a true story. I'm going to tell you, was it easy to watch? No. And I've heard people say, "Well, don't take your children to see it." I'm going to tell you something. It was done very tastefully, but yet it will put the fear of God into you as a parent, and hopefully into your children. And I use that saying, fear of God, because we are not to be fearful. But you know what? I do. I watch my children. I watch after my children. You know, my son, he made the comment to me, 2 or 3 years ago, and he's 21 now. But we were talking about, him being raised. And he's like, Dad, he goes, you guys were strict and there was a lot of things that I wanted to do that I couldn't do. And I go, okay. I said, let me ask you a question. I said, were you ever molested or raped? And he goes, no. I said, I did my job. I said, you're 18, 19, you're a man now. I go, this is different. But your mother and I, we did our job because we kept you safe, and that was our job. And you'll see, I don't want to give away the movie too much, but you'll see watching the movie that how something can go wrong so quickly for parents even.
Well, I think Jim, in one of his short clips, and I think he may have appeared on Fox Mornings, where he taught that the sex trafficking or child trafficking of children is $159 billion industry a year.
Yeah, just is second to drugs.
And that is, and he put it together to sort of paint a picture as he's talking. That's all your National Football League players, all of your soccer league, U.S. soccer leagues that have formed. Several things he throwed into the pot of ingredients. That's all of them put together is how much money per year people are making off of children.
So I'm going to ask you guys a question. And if I'm a conspiracy theorist, I'm a conspiracy theorist. I don't mind labels. Okay? But if our government could track and arrest the people from January the 6th within a week of that event taking place, and they were arresting people before the week was out from the January 6th event, and they cannot arrest and get to these pedophiles, I'm just throwing it out there. I mean, I want everybody to seriously think about that. We are tracked so much, and you're telling me that a company can have billions of dollars stolen from them through that was the oil rig thing last year, where the dissidents went and shut off their pipeline,
right?
And they had to send them like $2 or $3 billion. I forget the amount. It doesn't matter. But our government had already, within a week, gotten that money back from Bitcoin when they sent it to Bitcoin. And you're telling me that you cannot find these pedophiles? I'm just telling you, I don't believe it. And I'm going to tell you, if you can't, my dad had a saying, you're either incompetent or you're a liar. I'll let you pick which one you are. Neither one of them's good. But if you can do that and you can't get to these pedophiles, I have no use for you.
Well, I'm going to tell you I picked B.
Yeah.
I'll just call a spade a spade. We had our senator, U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn in Giles County just recently. And at the very end, they're talking about the debt ceiling and things. And, I got to make my comment. I believe this country would be a lot better off. We could lower our debt ceiling if we would do away with every governmental agency that starts with 3 letters of the alphabet.
Right. I absolutely agree with that, because they are bureaucrats. They do not make laws. They should not have anything to do with the making of our laws or the enforcing of our laws. That goes to our states, and it goes to the county and the city police departments, not the feds. That's not what the Constitution says.
That's right.
I want to jump on something on this movie that you're talking about. I have not seen it. I mean, I've heard several of my friends have seen it, and so we've been talking about it for the last couple of days. But I'm just pulled up like news, just like right now, just as we're sitting here. I just pulled this up on the computer, and I'm looking at several. There's several like articles here about the news in this film, and according to the film's producer, Amazon and Netflix have refused to distribute the film, but no one's releasing why they refuse to distribute the film. Isn't it amazing how they'll do a film of satanic origins and, I mean, just all kinds of nudity and violence and everything you can imagine and on the cinema nowadays, but they will not distribute a movie like this.
So I'll take it a step further. I used to have Netflix. Okay, I don't have TV. I wanted to control the commercials and frankly,
what your children saw.
For what my children saw, I'm tired of every program having a homosexual on there, and they're normalizing it.
In a commercial.
Not only commercials, and you go look at every program.
Well, I agree, but the commercials are infiltrated with homosexuality.
Sure.
Yes, but so I'm tired of it. But I got rid of Netflix because Netflix put out basically child porn. I forget the name of the movie. Not like I was going to go and watch it or anything, but they put out something that glorified sexualizing children.
Yeah.
And they lost a lot of subscribers.
Yeah, I remember the movie. It was Preteen Girls. I can't remember the name of it, but
yeah,
little dance competition thing.
Yeah.
I can tell Lawrence is getting so hot.
Dude, I got
over here.
12-year-old girls.
I feel the heat from him, and just the short distance. We're 3 foot apart.
I know.
I can feel you steaming.
I mean, I have 12-year-old twin girls that are everything to me, and I'm going to tell you something. Jesus said in Matthew 18:6, and Brandon, I know you know this verse very well, and I got somewhere to go in for, but I'm going to read Matthew 18:6 to everybody, and I'm going to read the King James. But whosoever shall cause one of these little ones who believe in me to fall, it was better for him that a millstone was hung around his neck and that he was drowned in the depths of the sea. So I'm going to tell you something. That quote was used in the movie when he was talking to one of the characters that was the child molester. Brandon, for 2 years or longer, and for people that don't know, Brandon is a pastor, and Brandon's my pastor. There's very few people I could sit under. I'll sit under Brandon and his pastoral. But Brandon made a comment more than 2 years ago. These people that we're talking about, he calls them the Millstone Society.
That's a name I just.
That is a name that God gave him one day.
Yeah,
and these people, these evil people, and I don't care if you are the homosexual that's dancing in the street saying that we're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children. I don't care who you are. If you are going to try and harm a child, you are part of the Millstone Society.
That's right.
I have no use for you. Period. End of story.
Yeah.
So
last week as I'm sitting here thinking what you're saying, I mentioned the words capital punishment.
Yes.
It needs to be brought back. We've got too soft as a society, and it comes from the Democrats.
Yep.
Whether anybody wants to realize it or not, the solution is not building more jails, it's firing up execution and eliminating these menaces to society.
I'll even take it a step further than what Brandon says. It starts in the church house.
And that's what you said last week, and I do agree.
It has started in the church house, and we are all guilty of it. I'm guilty of it more so than you because of what you have done for Giles County in Tennessee. You helped remove smut. You've been fighting this fight. Brandon and I, we've just figured it out. Not even a year and a half ago have Brandon and I figured out that we have to get into this fight. But you've been doing it for 20 plus years. And I just want to commend you, like Dave Vance. Dave Vance has been doing this for a long time. And I look up to people like you that have fought this good fight and have done it for nothing. How much money have you made doing this, Chris? Can I say it probably has cost you a lot of money to do these things?
It has cost me a lot of money.
Friends,
it's
maybe?
Cost me friends. It's cost me business.
Yeah.
It's it's sad, and you got to do what's right, and
yes.
it's. John DeBerry says it's time, like I said last week, for Christians to get up off of their do nothing and quit leaning back on their elbows of do less and take a stand. It's all about taking a stand. And, like I told y'all last week on the radio program, when an adult club came to the end of my street in my neighborhood, not on my watch. Right. And that's the way I feel about how you feel, the same thing about what you said about your children. Yeah. This is not going to happen because as you go by things and this smut, as you call it, and the same thing, I got another word for it, but I'm not going to say it on air.
Right.
But, as you were going by and you got little girls and they're saying, Daddy, what is this? Right. Hey, it's time for the Christians, not only in Giles County, but every county of all 95 counties of this state, to take the bull by the horns. And you're exactly right. It starts in the church house. Right. Because preachers are too soft. They want to dance around issues or tiptoe through the tulips.
Yep.
Elders and deacons are not doing their jobs in the church. And like I said, any of them's got a problem with what I say, you can call me anytime. Sure. Yep. But it's sad. You've got to do what's right and what's pleasing in His sight. And nothing else matters at the end of the day.
Well, I tell you, when you bring up the elders and even the deacons in the church, I had someone that we all know that is a pastor. And he was telling me that his church shut down during COVID. And he did not want to shut down his church, him personally. He did not want to shut it down. And he goes, but the deacons made me. And it just came out of my mouth. I go, oh, so you have a deacon-possessed church then, don't you?
Do they not understand, and I'm speaking specifically to these deacons of this gentleman's church. Yeah. Do they not understand that four-letter word fear is a sin?
That's correct.
That's true.
As a matter of fact, in Revelation, it talks about the people that are cast in the fire with Satan, and it talks about the whoremonger, it talks about the adulterer, the liar. But do you know the very first sin that is thrown into the pit of fire with Satan is the fearful? And yes, do you have to control your fear? Absolutely. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I'm always non-fearful. I mean, but I have to trust what God tells me.
I'm gonna read it. It's Revelation 21. This is the King James version. Revelation 21 verse 8. It says, I'm gonna go back to 7. It says, "He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son. But the fearful," that's listed first, "and unbelieving, and abominable, and murderers, whoremongers, sorcerers, idolaters, and liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death." Fearful is listed first.
That's a terrible second death in an eternal lake of fire.
That's right.
So I'm going to bring up something. We're going off on subject here, but the word sorcery. Okay, the word sorcery. The New Testament was written originally in Greek. Do you know what that Greek word was for sorcery?
Tell me.
Pharmakia. That is the actual word. That's right. So when you read about the sorcery, when you read about the whore of Babylon and her sorcery that she does, the sorcery is actually talking about drugs.
word pharmaceuticals comes from that.
Pharmaceutical.
And so
Yeah.
we've seen what pharmaceuticals are literally used illegally. They're destroying our country as we speak. I mean, they're coming across the border and they're in the form of pills, and they're using, it used to be a different type of drug out there, and I've been doing a lot with drug rehab lately. And we're tapping into a lot of different topics.
Right.
But the border being open is part of what we're talking about with the child trafficking. It's part of what we're talking about with what's going on with the pharmaceuticals that are pouring across our border. I mean, they're bringing in horse tranquilizer now, and they're making it in pills. They've got fentanyl.
Trank. It's called Trank.
It's called Trank. It's a street drug. It hasn't made it to Lawrence County in full force yet, but it's coming like a wave. It hasn't made it to Giles County yet. I talked to someone with the state the other day, and they've actually seen it in Hickman County already. And it's a flesh-eating drug that when they inject it, they literally go into a high. And if you haven't seen it, for those that may be listening, you just go look up, just type in on your Google search, zombies of Kensington, Pennsylvania,
Yeah.
Kensington. And they look like zombies on the streets as soon as they take it. So this stuff is... And so I'm going to wrap all this back around and kind of make this make sense. The reason we got involved, Lawrence and I, we went kicking and screaming, okay? We didn't want to get involved in politics. We didn't want to get involved. I can't believe 2 years ago, if you'd told Lawrence and I that we're going to be on the radio doing a political show and talking about the Bible, we'd have laughed. It would have
You'd
been
have
the
called
best
us a
laugh.
liar.
It would have been the best laugh I had in a long time. But we got involved because in 2020, what I saw with COVID was an absolute attack on the children of this country. It caused them to live in fear. It disrupted their lives more than it did anyone. The adults thought they had it rough, but the children really went through a lot. And I know because I have my own children and talking to them. And at that point, it changed me forever. People may think, well, Brandon's just going to go away and disappear. That's not going to happen, Chris. If I'm not doing this, I'm going to be doing something else. But we are going to continue to make a stand against what we see coming in this country and coming in our state and these counties. And I mean, Lawrence and I talking in the car. People may wonder, what do we like, behind the scenes? And a lot of folks I've been talking to, they've never met us in person,
Right?
But we get to hear from them. Well, in the car before we came in, Lawrence and I are working on talking about a plan to help get the homeless in Lawrence County into drug rehab and recovery. Why? Because everything is affecting us right now. We can't go into it. If you just have one topic that you want to come in and talk about on the political scene, then you're missing the whole picture. They're all connected. They're all absolutely wrapped into each other, and we have to tackle several topics at once. And so, is there a homeless problem in Lawrence County? You know what? If there's one homeless here, then we got a problem. We need to be working on it. We need to quit waiting on the government to step in and fix our problems, because they don't fix it. They make a bigger mess than what they've ever done before.
Communities were supposed to take care of communities.
That's right.
And we got totally away from that.
Right.
So,
We were watching a video yesterday, and it was like a prepping video. Me and my girls were, it just kind of shows we like watching prepping videos for fun. And the guy was talking about they were trying to deal without electricity for 3 days. And my girls they almost rolled on the floor laughing. But the guy was saying, so, at nighttime, we didn't have any TV to watch, radio to listen. So we sat around a candle and we told horror stories.
Oh, wow.
ghost stories, yeah.
Yeah, he says we told horror stories, and he goes, here, let me tell you one of the stories we did, and it takes it back to them at night in the camera, and he goes, and boys and girls, and then the gentleman showed up, and he says, I'm with the government, and I'm here to help, and everybody's like, ah, screaming in terror. My girls thought that was hilarious.
one of the greatest, well, I still look at him, I put him up there with as equal or maybe just a notch above President Trump. He was more polished, was Ronald Reagan.
Yes.
That's one of his famous sayings.
Yes.
And how true. How true. One thing I want to touch on for, our time gets away, when you're having fun.
Yep.
We it seems like we've been sitting here 8 minutes.
Yeah, it's flying
We
by.
could do this for 3 hours.
And
And I want
maybe we need to talk to Charlotte about
Yeah, I
extending
promise
this.
you, it's only this much an hour, so
Hey,
Okay.
you pay
All right.
by the hour.
Yeah, pay.
All right.
Okay.
All right,
Maybe we can get people, if you really like this content, start sending us some money, and we'll be on here more.
But I want to mention, before we forget about it, that, I told you we talked about two words that I want to bring
Yes,
up, but I
yes.
also want to bring up, look, I'm thinking about Hickman County. As close as Hickman is it's closer to you guys
Yes.
than Giles, but it's close enough to us. It's
Yep.
close to Murray.
Yeah.
It's coming in on that 40 corridor. If it's
Yep.
on that 40 corridor, it's on that 65 corridor.
That's exactly
Amen.
right.
Yes.
And what about the cocaine in the White House?
Oh, you know what? That was one of the things I wanted to say, and you kind of
We're
took
not allowed
it
to
from
talk
me.
about that. That's the
Oh
Hatch
no.
Act.
No! You're missing the point. Hey, you're missing the point. It is Christmas in July. Let it snow. Let it snow.
Lawrence, keep your day job.
So Joe Biden is not old. He's just high.
He's just high. Maybe
Wait,
that's why.
he's sniffing all the time. He's sniffing
have
all the time with
figured
little
out.
girls. Maybe he's sprinkling the cocaine. Maybe it's not Hunter that's doing the sniffing.
Dadgum, he really is led by the Easter Bunny. If you just stop and think about it, really, But something else I want to throw out there, and I want to wrap back around to Cracker Barrel. Just don't let me forget it. There's a new organization that's coming fast and furious, and it's wonderful. It's called Restore Liberty. Have y'all looked into this?
Well, you have shared with me a couple of things about it. I know that they endorsed you recently, and what I have learned about them is just what you have sent me so far.
Yeah, it's they're going to be endorsing more people. This radio program last week, when I held up about the Constitution, really brought it out, because they see me with that hardback copy. You said, Chris, you got that hardback copy
Sure.
right there. So they get in touch, they check me out, they dig into me, and they endorse me. So I'm honored. There's when I looked at a while ago, there's been 8 Tennesseans endorsed, with out of that 8, 5 of us being elected officials. And that's a great thing. And 2 of them being the firearms guys that we're talking about, and 1 county party chair. So I guess you could say I'm on there as a county party chair as well.
Right.
But just to let everybody know, Restore Liberty's primary mission is to ensure the citizen of each sovereign state, and that happens to be Tennessee, by the way,
That's correct.
within the Union of the United States, are able to pursue happiness by embracing truth, liberty, free from central government control beyond their consent. Now, I showed y'all before we went on the air a picture, and Restore Liberty had sent me this picture. And I don't know if we can pull it up where it can be put on the air, but Bill Lee failed. They failed him this afternoon. Not constitutional. Governor Bill Lee failed. And I said, is it okay for me to let everybody know out there in Radio Land that this happened today? They said, sure.
That was pretty easy, because I know me personally, I voted for him in 2018. I want my vote back. I did not vote for him in 2022.
You just didn't vote.
No, I put Brandon in his write-in.
Oh, you did? So now the Lawrence County Election Commission knows who did that write-in.
I don't think I was the only one, actually, but if I was, I'm fine with it.
Well, great.
But
great.
I could not vote for him. I just flat out could not vote for him.
And we already knew this. We knew he's not acting as a true conservative, and it doesn't surprise me. But they said run with it. But let's talk about Cracker Barrel.
Okay.
You had wrote it down on your pad last week.
Yeah, we just didn't get to it. Yep.
Well, it's a Tennessee-based company out of Lebanon,
Absolutely.
Tennessee.
Yep.
Absolutely.
It formed actually on a golf course. A lot of people don't know that, with some guys about wanting to do this. And it started with a great concept, no different than Walmart and Sam Walton. But in 2017, I learned that Cracker Barrel was going to be the premier sponsor of the Nashville, what it was called then. I don't know what the alphabet people call it today, but it was called the Nashville Gay and Lesbian Pride Day Parade. and Cracker Barrel was a premier sponsor. And I said right there at that point, my shadow will never darken the door of a Cracker Barrel ever again. And it has not.
You know, and I didn't even know that. I mean, I knew about Target, and I haven't stepped foot in Target, but I do that more for my protection because, you know, if a man follows my wife or girls into a bathroom, it's going to get ugly. And I know who'll go to jail. I mean.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, then it came out more prevalent just recently with the release of the Rainbow Rockers.
Right. I did see that.
So now it's out there. They're not hiding it no more. I guess when Bud Light started putting the transgender on the beer can, they thought it would be okay for them just to come out of the closet and make them a hero too. Well, I hope it sinks their battleship. Remember that game? Who sank my battleship?
That's right.
Well, I hope their battleship gets sank, along with Jack Daniels.
Right.
You know, Jack Daniels, Lim Motlow over in Lynchburg, Tennessee, we hear this old saying, they'd be spinning in their grave if they knew what was happening today. Well, a lot of people don't realize Jack Daniels is not owned by the Daniels family or the Motlow family or any of them anymore. It's owned by a corporation called Brown Forman Cooperage. Okay? Mm-hmm. So look it up. But, you know, can you imagine, and have y'all ever been to Lynchburg, walked around their little town square?
I've been there.
I have. I've driven through there. I've never walked through there, but I have driven through there.
I talked to a guy who saw the men dressed as women in drag, 3 of them walking around the square filming, taunting the new Jack Daniels Fire for the LGB, the alphabet people. I don't want to get into all them letters.
So hang on. Well, let's get into those letters. I can actually tell you what the actual letters are. I did research on it.
Oh, okay.
So we're now at LGBTIQA2 plus.
A what plus?
2 plus. So here's what it means.
That's a shirt size.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That's my size.
I'm almost there. 15 more pounds.
Except it's 2X.
Yeah, but I mean, but I'm almost at a 2X right now. And when I do, I have this shirt that says "Truth," the new hate speech, and I'm going to wear it in when we do our videos and stuff. And I'm going to sit up like this so everybody can see it. But anyway, it stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, intersex, queer, or questioning, asexual, and the 2 stands for two-spirit, meaning you can be man and woman in the same spirit. So we're not even going to do the body now. Now we got to go to spirit. You know what the plus stands for? Take a guess what the plus stands for.
I'm afraid to say.
Take a guess.
All those put together.
No,
I want to be careful, you know.
No, it stands for 2 things. It stands for people that are still questioning what they are.
Okay.
And it also stands for MAP people. Have you heard the term MAP? It's minor attracted persons. So we are no longer a pedophile. We are being called minor attracted persons is what they are calling themselves.
Where they're reaching out to children. Is that where?
No. It's worse than that. No, we're talking about pedophiles here.
Oh Lord.
But they don't want to be called pedophiles anymore. They want to be called minor attracted persons.
Let me, you know, all this relates, and there was an upgrade I had on some software at my business the other day, and it really messed everything up. So I called the support that I pay for. I think somewhere around $600-700 a month for the support. Mm-hmm. And I said, listen, who came up with this stupid decision? And the young lady said to me, sir, that offends me. And I said, what do you mean? What offends you? She said the word stupid. I said, well, what about the idiotic decisions? She said, that's worse.
Yeah, that's worse.
You're unprofessional.
Oh, you're terrible.
And I said, if I'm hurting your Gen Z feelings, I will terminate this call. She said, you are, and I terminated the call.
Wow.
It's that bad that when you're paying for support and these, you know, and what's even worse is children, and I say children, people that are 20 years old, 25, 20, let's just say 20 to 25, cannot sign their name.
No.
They print it. They don't know how to do
all of our
cursive.
founding documents were written in cursive.
That's correct.
So if we don't teach cursive handwriting, they'll never be able to read the founding documents.
So we're trying to dumb down our nation
On purpose.
It's
on
just-
purpose.
Yes, sir.
It's a plan.
I mean, you see my
The
shirt,
Marxist
don't you?
plan.
I mean, look at my shirt.
I
does it
see
say?
here.
Yeah, won't you?
Well, all right.
read it if somebody
It
else can't.
says if it doesn't need to be rewritten, it does not need to be rewritten. It needs to be reread.
Yeah.
I'm having to read through the wrinkles, Lawrence.
Right, I understand. And now, it's not the fat wrinkles, is it?
No, I didn't say that.
So I got to tell this. I've been sitting here thinking about this for a few minutes, and we've talked about everything tonight. I don't know. We've just kind of threw a bunch of stuff against the wall to see what would
See
stick.
what was still.
So I know we're getting close to the end of this, and I've got to share a funny story. And all you guys can do is just sit there and enjoy this, because I want all the people who are listening to know that I have actually had the opportunity to go to church with Chris Morris and Lawrence Sutton. And I've been in the same church building with you guys. Now, I wasn't preaching, I was there. And if it's out, honestly, it's about like something out of a movie script, what took place. So we're there, and so everyone out there is listening. You guys already know what I'm going to say. I think you do. Lawrence is like, I don't know what you're
I have no idea what you're going to say.
So-
I know exactly what he's going to say.
and
I'm
It
going
deals
to tell
with
this
a
story.
brown paper sack.
Hold on, Chris. I got to set it up. Chris is still worked up about it. So Chris had a sore throat or a tooth had been
Toothache,
bothering him.
yeah.
And so for those of you that don't know, Lawrence and a lot of people, they take colloidal silver. Did
Yes.
I say that properly?
Yeah, colloidal silver.
Colloidal silver.
And I make it. I
And you
actually
make
make it, yes.
So it's a clear liquid, okay, and it's all natural. There's nothing to it. It's just an all natural, old remedy, health remedy. Well, so I'm on the pew, sitting on the pew with Chris Morris. Mm-hmm. Now Lawrence had gone home to get the silver.
For Chris, because
Chris Morris.
his tooth was bothering
So we
him.
went on to church. Chris and I had gone to church like two good little boys would do. Okay? So whenever when I'm sitting there, we get finished with the church service, and I didn't even know Lawrence had even came back. And Lawrence, at some point in time, which had to be hilarious, came in and snuck into the church, came up beside Chris.
That's the only way I can get into church.
and brought a brown paper bag with a mason jar in it of clear liquid up in the church up to the second row. And so Chris looks at me and he looks at me, he goes, what am I supposed to do with this moonshine? And Lawrence has brought me to church.
Now, the thing that had happened was during the opening prayer. Let's add to the story. So it happened during the opening prayer.
So I didn't know this part.
But Lawrence stood at the back. I seen him come in with his brown paper sack
Yes.
and his quart of moonshine, and he waited till the prayer was over, and he slid up, and I said, hey, you can sit down with us, He said, no, I got to go. I got to get, he said, you got to understand, I got to get home, I got to let the wife in.
Yeah.
And I understand that. But what was so funny is John DeBerry, and we mentioned him early,
Yeah.
was holding the gospel meeting.
Yes.
And he said, brother, what do you got in that brown paper sack? And I said, Brother John, do you really want me to pull this out? He said, yeah, let me see. And I pulled it out. He said, oh, my God, not in the church house. And I said, this is not clear moonshine. That's what it looks like. It was a quart jar.
In a mason jar.
In a mason jar.
In a brown paper bag.
In a brown paper bag.
We almost started a revival.
And it became the talk of the congregation, I promise you. But anyway, it was funny, and here us three are being tied into something again. It's great that we as a team met. There's no I in the word team, by the way. We all met, and there's a reason we all met, and there's a whole lot of people who are listening out there who enjoy what's being said, and they want to hear the truth, and we're going to deliver the truth. I just hope Kip will let us come back. I hope we don't do anything to tarnish his reputation, especially with moonshine.
Well, for
How
the
did it
record,
work, though, Chris?
For the record, it was not moonshine. It was not even alcoholic. It
No.
just very suspiciously looked exactly like moonshine. So
So how
That's
did it
how
work?
people get assumptions. But
That's
I will
right.
tell you, brother, it works. And you just swish it around. It's hard to swish something in your mouth like that for 3 minutes, I
Yeah.
promise you.
Yeah.
But it works. It took away the pain. Not to say that the pain come back, but I really found out what really happened.
What's that?
We got some popcorn from the Amish. Now, I'm not fussing with the Amish at all. It's not their fault. But they have some husk on their popcorn, let me tell you.
Yeah.
And a piece of that husk got down in between my back molar and my gum and got down in there and got infected.
Oh.
And it brought it to a head. Let's put it that way.
Right.
It worked its way out just like a splinter.
Well, I got to say this for somebody who's probably listening to the radio or maybe watching this on podcast. They're probably just saying you should have just used moonshine. It would have worked just as well. There has to be
It would have
somebody.
distilled it for
Somebody
sure.
is saying that on this
I
radio
was
show.
thinking it.
Okay, you were thinking.
Oh, you
okay.
were?
Although I wouldn't have spit it out, I would just went ahead and
Yeah,
drank
just
it.
swish the moonshine
Okay.
around.
Yeah.
Appreciate your honesty.
I promise you, she's not the only one. There's others who are thinking.
Well,
the same.
Real quick, I do because you know how people will take something, they'll hear it, and then they'll run with it.
They spin it, they opine.
Right. So I got to say this, John Myers, if you're listening, I do not have a still at my house. Just want you to know.
You're giving that disclaimer. Now,
Giving that disclaimer.
You
And
also
John
have-
can come to. John's been at my house, so.
You also live close to the DA. You better put that discllaimer out to the DA.
Yes, Brent Cooper. Yes, I live about 500-600 yards from Brent. Brent, I don't have a still at my house.
It's not that.
Well,
And we want to
hey,
remind everyone: eat at Strikers.
Yeah,
Restaurant.
that's you took the words out of my mouth. You know, hey, we want to thank WDXE for taking a stance and having a program like this. I hope their sister station in Pulaski will soon start something like this, and maybe Charlotte and I can talk about it. But let's don't.
Butch can't handle that.
Okay, all right. I'm not going to say that. I'll let her talk to Butch about it. But anyway, this is fun, and the best part about it at the end is thinking about Strikers, the vision of Strikers, the vision of the fish and chips. Think about that, Lawrence.
Their
I'm
new
hungry.
nachos look excellent.
Uh-oh,
hungry.
I hadn't had their new nachos. But, hey, listen, thanks to Strikers for supporting Kip Capley in this
Yes.
radio program. We're grateful. And like I said, we're getting hungry.
I'm getting very hungry, and my one daughter, when we were there, you know, my two daughters were with us, you know, that at that
Correct.
time, and one of them decided that they were going to order a filet mignon, and they weren't even really hungry, so it got took home, so I got to eat the filet mignon afterwards too.
Oh, okay. Well, and of course, all your children were there.
I have boys.
All 12
Nothing
of them.
goes home. Okay.
Did you hear what I said? All 12 of them.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I have 5 boys and 1 girl. That's very true, and they are
Half a
they can
dozen.
eat it. That's right. Well, I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate being on here. I want to say thanks to Kip Capley. He's a good friend, and I really enjoy the conversation that we have. And I think there's a lot of people in this community that feel exactly the same way we do. So I just want folks to know you're in good company, and we have a vision for what we've been doing with the radio station, and I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, it definitely is, and you know, I can't brag enough about Kip or Clay Doggett.
Senator Hensley.
And Senator Hensley. Yes. I mean, I don't ever want to forget Joey. I mean, I think the world of all 3 of them. And we are so incredibly blessed to have those men representing us.
We are. And one more plug. On July 25th at the courthouse at 6 p.m. is going to be the Lawrence County Republican Party meeting. We want to see you there at the upstairs courtroom.
And a half plug. Remember, July the 13th.
This is WDXE, W287 AA and W237 FD Lawrenceburg. Broadcast services of Prospect Communications.
And now back to
The Rich Eisen Show.
now.
Live Live from the Rich Eisen Show studio in Los Angeles. The Rich Eisen Show.
He can't quit us. And we can't quit you either.
Today's guests, ESPN NFL reporter Jeff Darlington, ESPN MLB insider Jeff Passan, senior writer for Sports Illustrated Chris Mannix, and now it's Rich Eisen.
Well, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Hey, everybody. Welcome to this edition of the Rich Eisen Show. We're back. We're in the light after our dark week. We were off for all of July 4th week, and we are relaxed and rested and ready to chat with you at 844-204-RICH, number to dial. We say hello once again to our Roku channel audience. The Roku channel is free on all Roku devices. Select Samsung Smart TV. It is free on Amazon Fire TV. It is free on the Roku app because the Roku channel is on it. And the crazy thing is, that's the way it was before the dark week. The dark week hasn't changed anything. We're still free. We're right here on this Rich Eisen Show terrestrial radio affiliate, Sirius XM, Odyssey, and more, our podcast. We are so thrilled to be talking to anybody who wants to listen to us whenever they darn well want to hear us. We are back here on the Rich Eisen Show, and good to see you over there, Christopher Brockman. What's going on, bro?
Hey, Rich, not a whole lot going on.
Good to see you. Mike